Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Facebook Live broadcast. I'm Steve Altition, Director of Client Partnerships here at Pacific Cascade Legal. And today we have Certified Financial Planner Ann Garcia to talk about how co-parents can work together to develop a plan to get their child a great education at a price they can afford. And that's a big deal. So, Ann, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Do you want to talk a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm a certified financial planner, fee-only advisor here in Portland, Oregon, and our firm specializes in helping families balance competing financial priorities, whether it's college, retirement, divorce, people who have a few things going on in their lives. And I'm also a parent of two college students. So I've gone through the college application and funding process myself. I realized early in my career that I was talking with a lot of parents who didn't understand how they were going to pay for college and were really daunted at that prospect, as well as young adults who are coming out of college with such large student loan balances that they were struggling to do any of the basic building blocks of adult life, buying a home, saving for retirement, even in some cases, setting up an emergency savings account. And so I realized if I could maybe help that first group, those parents who didn't know how they were going to figure out college, I could be talking with less of that second group. Not that I don't love young adults, I do it, but I love when they have more doors open than closed.
I love that. And, it's been a few years since I did the college application process for our kids. And one of the things I'm excited about is talking about that because I'm sure it's changed a lot. But even then, it was starting when the kids, I swear, were, barely in high school or before, it became this expectation thing. It's like, okay, we got to do something. What do? We got to do something. This is going to happen. And then, of course, didn't do it.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of one of those people you're talking to in some sense. But we're adding to that divorce a little, and, co-parenting. And like you said, that can be really problematic and challenging because there's now two households. There were expectations before divorce, expectations after divorce are different. And so kind of just wanted to start with, how co-parents, can even start to get their heads around planning for college.
Yeah, it's a great question. And it is a complicated topic because so much of how co-parents plan for it depends on how they relate with one another. Is this an ex couple who is still on amicable terms or not? Do they have similar expectations for their student and for their student's education? Oftentimes even in the most solid parenting, couple relationships, the parents have very, very different feelings about education, expectations about cost and cost sharing with their student. And so all of those really need to be ironed out so that the student has clear guidance over what paths they should be pursuing, how they should be looking at college, what types of scholarships they should be looking at. One of the big considerations for families, for co-parents in particular, is which parent's financial information is going to be used on the FAFSA. And up until this year, it has been the parent with whom the student spends the most time. The FAFSA is changing this year, and now it'll be the parent who provides the most financial support who files the FAFSA for that student. And so that can have a really, really different impact on the student's eligibility for financial aid. And so that is something that families need to be clear on. One of the things that I recommend families do is if they're Well, first and foremost, the Department of Education on their website has a tool called the Student Aid Estimator, and families can go in there and see what the federal needs analysis methodology says they should be able to pay for college. And do it based, co-parents each parent can do it. And that'll just give you a sense of whether the student is likely to be eligible for need-based financial aid or not. If the number that it generates is less than the cost of attendance at a college, you're eligible for need-based aid. If it's higher than the cost of attendance at a college, you are not eligible for need-based aid. That doesn't mean all hope is lost because there are also scholarships on the basis of merit. And so for families who don't want to pay the full price of college but aren't eligible for need-based aid, merit scholarships are a great opportunity for those students. So just something for co-parents to get their arms around is what types of financial aid are they going to be eligible for, so that when they look at their overall college budget, they know what types of scholarships a school needs to offer for their student to be able to attend there.
I love that. You mentioned FAFSA, and that is new. That's interesting. Well, I was new because I wasn't divorced, but that's really interesting. But let's take a step back, and I probably people are listening who maybe don't know what FAFSA is. And I got to tell you, it was a battle just trying to learn. You figured out what it was, but what it does and why it's important, and that whole thing. Could you kind of give a primer on what the heck FAFSA even is?
Yeah, absolutely. So the FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. First of all, that's what that weird acronym stands for. It is the form that you fill out to be eligible for need-based financial aid from the federal government, oftentimes from your state. Here in Oregon, it gives you access to Oregon aid grants, and many other states as well as access to need-based aid from the college. One of the big elements of the FAFSA is that's also how you apply for federal student loans. So if the student or the parent is going to take out student loans for college, they need to file the FAFSA. If they want to even be considered for need-based financial aid, they need to file the FAFSA. And in many cases, merit aid awards require the student to have filed the FAFSA as well. So plan that you're going to file the FAFSA every year. It's a kind of a complicated process. The FAFSA looks at basically 4 different buckets of resources that you have in order to calculate a number that's currently called the expected family contribution. This year it's changing to the student aid index. But basically that's the amount that the federal government says that your family should be able to pay for college every year.
Got it.
The biggest piece of that formula is the parent's income. Now, for co-parents, only one parent files the FAFSA and provides their information. The other parent's information is not included at all. And as I was saying previously, it has been the parent with whom the student spends the most time. The FAFSA is changing this year, and going forward, it will be the parent who provides the most financial support. And there's a lot of gray area in there. So just the simple fact that one parent pays alimony and child support and the other receives it doesn't necessarily mean that parent is providing the most support, because it may be that the one receiving all of those is paying for a larger house, for example, or covering more food costs or other things. However, if you have a situation where one parent works, earns a high income, the other one has no income other than alimony and child support, then of course it will be the one who's paying it. So the FAFSA is used by public colleges. There's an additional financial aid form called the CSS profile that's used by a lot of private colleges. And almost all private colleges require both parents to report their income and assets on the CSS profile. So, So for a student who might be eligible for need-based financial aid on the basis of one parent's income, it can be helpful to look for colleges that only require the FAFSA as opposed to the CSS profile as well.
I like it. And that, like you had said, sort of getting that lets you know if you qualify, and maybe how much for it. And that sounds like a good start. And let's say I come in and I've done that. And I said, well, how do I start to budget for this?
Yeah. So there's multiple pieces of your college budget. And this is why I like for families to start planning for college before their student gets to high school, because there's a lot more you can do if you have more time. So your college budget kind of looks like this. How much savings do you have? Divide that by 4. How much can you pay out of pocket? And in the case of co-parents, it's how much can each of you pay out of pocket every year. If one parent is eligible for the education tax credit, specifically the American Opportunity Tax Credit, then that's another $2,500 a year in tax credit that the student could be eligible, that the parents could be eligible for, that can go into the college budget. And if you have anyone else who's helping you, maybe grandparents are contributing or another family member, the student could be contributing to their own education. The student might have an outside scholarship, which is a scholarship that just comes from someplace other than the college. So all of those go into your budget. If you are the parent of a middle schooler, it's a really great idea to look at what you're doing now, where your savings are, how much you're saving every year, project what that will look like at high school graduation, project how much you could spend out of pocket at high school graduation. It's probably not a drastically different number than it is, than right now. Although maybe, club sports or guitar lessons or something like that goes out of the way. And see, does that look like a budget that I'm okay with? Does that give my student the opportunities that I want them to have? The good news is there are great college pathways at every price point. My son has a friend who just finished up her education degree for free. She did free community college, and then she works for Starbucks, and Starbucks pays for tuition at Arizona State's online campus. And so she just got her college degree for exactly $0.
Wow.
There are other great pathways like getting AP and IB credits while you're in high school, or doing the early college program where you do some community college while in high school, and then you transfer to college and you don't go for 4 years. You're able to graduate in 2 or 3 years. Similarly, here in Oregon, we have dual enrollment where you could go to Oregon or Oregon State, but spend your first 2 years at community college. And meanwhile, you live on campus and participate in campus life like any other 4-year student there. And then after 2 years, you're automatically enrolled at the 4-year college, and you'll graduate with the same degree as everyone else. So there are lots and lots of pathways through college. For parents, we need to be sure that the pathways that are available to our kids are ones that we feel good about. So if you have strong feelings about what your child's college experience should look like, then it's important to be pricing those out early and planning so that you are able to make those available. The good news is every college offers scholarships. The bad news is not every college offers scholarships to every student. So your student will be able to find colleges that offer scholarships to them. They may not be the colleges that are on your radar screen or that you are interested in. And if that's you, I would point out the benefits of a college degree are massive. College graduates make about $1 million more over their lifetime than non-graduates. College graduates have less type 2 diabetes and heart disease. College graduates own homes at higher rates than non-college graduates. College graduates marry at higher rates and divorce at lower rates than non-college graduates. So it's not just the economic benefits of a college degree. College confers a lot of benefits. Any college degree confers those benefits. I did not say graduates of Ivy Leagues have these better lives. I said college graduates have these better lives. And in fact, a few years ago, there was a survey done called the Purdue Gallup Index, and they surveyed adults who self-rated as successful to find out what about their college experience made them successful. And what they found was that it had no relationship to what type of college they had attended. It had no relationship to what types of colleges they had been accepted to. It wasn't big or small, private, public, urban, rural. It really came down to experiences that they had as a student. And those were things like feeling like professors cared about them, finding mentors among faculty and staff, having opportunities to apply classroom learning to a job through an internship or summer job, engaging in on-campus activities, participating, working on a project that took a semester or longer to complete. So those were the commonalities of people who felt successful and well prepared by their colleges. And good news, you can get those experiences lots and lots of places.
I love that. And I've always kind of felt that it's what you make out of the place you're at, and all colleges can be successful.
Yeah, my philosophy is, when you're thinking about your kids' college experience and your goals for them, think about why you want them to go to college. You want them to have that education, have that enrichment, have open doors to their future. And so if you're focused on why you're having them go to college versus which college you're having them go to, I think you'll find that you have loads and loads of good choices. And I will say too, my family, we're a focus group of two. I have twins who are graduating from college this year. One is at a highly selective, less than 10% admission rate private college. One is at a highly unselective public college, admits more than 75% of applicants. And they will graduate this year, and each of them has a job offer that is almost identical, but for the fact that they have different majors and they'll be at different companies. But same starting salary, same type of program, same stay on board for a couple of years and we'll pay for your MBA. So yeah, and they're very different students, very different people, and two very different colleges prepared them for very similar opportunities.
That's great news for people to hear, because they think if we don't get this, then we haven't succeeded. In college.
In college, it's so point and counterpoint. Anytime I say that, people go, well, if you want to be an investment banker, you need an Ivy League degree. Well, yeah, maybe, but we don't all want to be investment bankers. Or management consultants. And there are certain career paths that want that. But you know what? Do you know what college has the most Fortune 500 CEOs among its alumni?
What?
Do you think it's Stanford?
I would say, you look at the Stanford, Harvard.
It's Texas A&M.
Oh my God.
University of Kentucky has the same number of Fortune 500 CEO alumni as Stanford.
Yeah.
So
I love that. I love that idea of, it's not necessarily which college, but why you're going to college. So there's three things that I kind of want to talk about that you've hit. And now we're at, where do I put my money? My budget. I mean, what do I just stick in my bank account, or what do I do? The other one is what, if I even with the scholarship still need, do I borrow? How do I borrow? And then the final one let's talk about is just how do I apply, and does how I apply make a difference? But to start really quickly, maybe with where do I put my money while my kids are in grade school?
Yeah, I think the best place to put your money is a 529 college savings plan. So these are state-run, tax-advantaged college savings accounts. You can invest in any state's plan and use any state's plan at any college. I think our plan here in Oregon is quite good. And you get an income tax credit for contributions to the plan. The way a 529 plan works is you invest after tax money. It's kind of like a Roth IRA. You invest after tax money in it. Many states, including Oregon, offer a tax benefit for your contribution. And then your money grows tax-free. When you take it out when you're in college, you do not pay any taxes on that as long as you use it to pay for college expenses. 529s are really easy. They have different investment portfolios you can choose. You can set up your own set of investments, or you can choose what's called an age-based or a target enrollment portfolio. In one of those, you basically say, my kid's going to start college this year, and they will allocate your investment portfolio in a risk-appropriate way so that you'll have money available when they get to college, and they will continually monitor that and reallocate it. What's great about 529s is you can set up an automatic monthly investment so that it's very simple and seamless, and the money just comes out of your account before it even gets into your household budget. Yep. Many of them take very small contributions. So even if you start really small, you can always have money available there. Another interesting data point that I found is that students whose families have college savings for them enroll in and graduate from college at higher rates than those who don't, even if it's a very small amount of savings. Now, you could say there's probably some chicken and egg there, right? Because if I set up a college savings account, I'm probably talking to you about going to college and creating that expectation in your mind. Nonetheless, having college savings produces college graduates.
Oh, but that, like you said, little bit, because especially when they're young, our money's going to grow. And
that's the power of compounding. The sooner you start, the more work your money does. The later you start, the more work you do.
I love that. That's a great.
The other thing that's great about 529s is they all have what's called a gifting page. And a gifting page lets other people contribute directly into your 529. So if you're overwhelmed with all the toys your kids get, and you really mean it when you say, don't give us any more toys, share that gifting page with grandparents, aunts and uncles, all those people who are dropping Legos on you.
I love it. So to loan, to borrow, or not to borrow? That is the question.
That is the question. And I think there's, I feel like there's so much talk about student loans as kind of a one-way ticket to the poorhouse. And student loans can have a reasonable place in a student's college budget. So there are a few different types of loans available. There are the federal student loans, which you apply for through the FAFSA, and then there are private loans. Within the federal loan programs, there's the direct student loan, and then there's the Parent Plus loan. The direct student loan is the only loan that an 18-year-old can take out without a cosigner and without any credit history. There's an annual amount that they can borrow. It's capped. The maximum amount a student can borrow over 4 years is $27,000. Now, if they were to take out that loan, and that's the only loan they have, that will translate into a monthly payment of about $325 a month for 10 years. Now, that payment is more than offset by the earnings increase that college graduates should expect. There are a few groups of people who are in trouble with student loans. By and large, it is not people who graduate with a bachelor's degree and only the direct student loan, as their only debt. The people who are really struggling with loans are people who've gone to grad school, particularly if they had loans from their undergraduate years, because what happens is your loans get deferred while you're in grad school, so your balance grows because the interest continues to accrue on them, and you're adding new grad school borrowing on top of that. So that's one group of people. Another group of people is students who start their undergraduate degree program, take out student loans, and then don't graduate from college. So they've got the loan debt and they don't have the earnings power to deal with it. And the third group is students who borrow to attend for-profit colleges. So for-profit colleges are all those kind of trade schools and where you go to become a chef or a massage therapist, or those IT certification program type of things. Oftentimes those degrees are not worth the paper that they're printed on. And yet students can take out student loans to attend there. And so those are the situations to avoid. The other thing is, for parents, in particular for co-parents, deciding whether or not you're going to take out parent loans versus student loans. I always recommend that families start with the direct student loan, even if the parents intend to pay it back. The direct student loan has the lowest interest rate, lowest fees, and it can help your student build credit history. By having it, not only that, but students' incomes are usually lower, so they might get the tax deduction for the interest payment, which translates to about 1 month's payment every year. But for co-parents, one of the weird things that I come across often is one parent files the FAFSA and the other plans to make their share of the college, to bear their share of the college cost through Parent Plus loans. That is actually how it works. It's still only the one parent filing the FAFSA, and then the other parent just needs to reach out to the financial aid office at the student's college to take out the Parent Plus loan.
I love it. Wow, we are zipping through, but I do want to talk just for a little bit about the whole application process. Can be crazy, or maybe it isn't. People just anticipate that it's going to be crazy. Can we talk just a little bit about some application hints?
Yeah.
And what to face?
Yeah. I mean, the application process can be really, really crazy. And I think one of the things that you forget about, because it gets really exciting to start thinking about college and whatnot, and thinking that it all happens senior year, it's a huge undertaking. And you and your student both also really want to be present for their senior year. Senior year is a challenging year academically. Fall at a minimum, fall semester still counts for college. They probably have activities they want to participate in. They might have a job. They might have friends they want to spend time with. And so layering college applications on top of that can be really challenging. The good news is the Common App makes it really easy to apply to colleges. The bad news is the Common App makes it really easy to apply to colleges. So most colleges accept the Common App, and that's a single application that the student fills out and submits to multiple colleges. However, it is not simply fills it out and submits it. Every college has their own set of admissions requirements. Many colleges just require the standard Common App, transcript, test scores, if needed, FAFSA, and the Common App's standard essay, their statement of purpose. However, most private colleges have supplemental essays, and typically 2 additional supplemental essays. So, for example, when my daughter was applying to colleges, she applied to 8 colleges. 2 were public, 6 were private. Some had scholarships that required an additional application. She had 24 essays she had to write. Yeah. And there was some overlap, where typically one of the essays for the private colleges is, why do you want to go here? And here's a pro tip. Don't say because it's a good school. Actually come up with something specific about that college that you are interested in and relate it to yourself. I heard my daughter's at University of Chicago, and they have a wonderful dean of admissions who's just the most entertaining guy. And he said, so they have, U Chicago has 3 essays, which is pretty standard. And he said, here's what we want from each of them. So one of them is the Common App statement of purpose. And he said, that's how we figure out who you are. So you need to show who you are. This is not just a resume. It's who are you. The second one is the why do you want to go here? And they use that to say, are you a fit for our school or not? And the third one, U Chicago's known for their wacky essays. So it's, they have a variety of prompts. One of them is, where's Waldo? Another is come up with a historical mashup. So one of my daughter's college classmates came up with LeBron James Madison and wrote an essay about LeBron James Madison. And he said, and that one is we want to see how you engage with the concept. So think of your essays that way. It's not just, I want to go to your college because it's a good college and I'm a good student. Common app statement of purpose. Here's a laundry list of everything I've done and I'm a good student too. And, so think about, what you want to do. I'm getting a little bit sidetracked in answering your question about the common app.
This is great. This is really good. And that, it kind of leads to, you talked about, loaning money or borrowing money, about investing in money, about getting, scholarships. Let's just talk for the last couple of minutes about spending money. And, you finally get to college. What can parents do to make sure the money lasts?
Yeah, well, one of the things that I find is parents consistently underestimate what college will cost. And it's not knowing how much tuition and room and board are. It's not planning for things like Parents Weekend or study abroad or participating in the Greek system or, actually at this campus, you need a car. So first and foremost, when your kid is accepted to a college, see if you can join that college's Facebook parents group, because those parents are a fantastic source of information about what college actually costs and what additional things you should be budgeting for. As far as making the money last, so first and foremost, families should plan that they're going to spend their savings down equally over 4 years. I see a lot of families spend all their savings and then say, well, once we get through that, we'll just take out loans for the rest of it. If you do that, chances are that the direct student loan isn't going to be enough and you're going to be taking out Parent Plus loans. The interest rate on Parent Plus loans is higher than on the direct student loan. So you will actually pay more by delaying and borrowing in Parent Plus loans than you will by starting out early and taking out direct student loans. I think another thing that's really important is to be clear with your student on what your expectations are as far as who's paying for what. Whether it's you're covering 10% of the cost, whether it's you're covering your personal expenses and your books, whether it's we've got tuition, you've got room and board, make sure that that's clear. And not only that that's clear, but that your student will have money available when they need it, whether it's from a student loan or from something else. So for example, with room and board, oftentimes you pay, especially if you live on campus, you're paying that money up front as part of your tuition payment. And there are fees for getting on a payment plan for that. So unless your student makes enough money in their summer job to cover that, they will have a hard time having that money available when they need it. One of the really important things about paying for college that oftentimes parents don't realize is if they take out student loans are dispersed directly to the college. And I've seen numerous parents who come to me after their student graduates and they've gotten a notification that it's time to start paying on their Parent Plus loans. And they had no idea that they had taken out Parent Plus loans, but those were part of the student's aid package. The student accepted the aid package. The loan went directly to the college. Yep. And here we are. So I would say that's another thing you can do to manage the cost. Make sure you know what is in your aid package, because colleges do include things like loans and work study as part of the aid package. The other thing, as far as managing costs, is look at what your options are for expenses. Particularly for students who are living on campus, there are oftentimes different price points for housing and for meal plans. Only one of them is reflected in your offer letter, and it could be the low one, it could be the high one, or it could be the medium one. So make sure you really understand what you're getting into as well, and then also look at what historical tuition increases have been, because if tuition is $20,000 this year and you're like, I got it, I can pay $20,000 every year. If it increases by 6% every year, that's going to be quite a bit more than $20,000 by the time senior year rolls around.
I love it. I love it. Well, we are out of time, but before we go, please let people know right now how they can get a hold of you, and that you wrote this thing. This was wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so my book is How to Pay for College. It's available on Amazon and bookstores anywhere. My website is howtopayforcollege.com. So that's the easiest place to find me. And if you're a Facebook user, I'm the College Financial Lady on Facebook, and you can follow me there as well.
I love it. Well, thank you. Thank you, Anne, for sitting down to talk today about just, how parents and co-parents can work together to develop a great education plan for their kids and afford it. That is super important. It's one of the biggest things on especially co-parents' minds. And you made it understandable to even someone like me. That is a successful task. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you bet. And anyone else, if you have further questions on today's topic, you can also post it here and we can help you get connected with Anne. So until next time, stay safe, stay happy,